Right, I just want to discuss that Germany trip I've just back from.
You sound as though you're a bit
Aye,
worse for wear. Was it just football?
Well,
or was
no, there was a few glasses of wine involved. Saturday night before the actual tournament, a couple of glasses of wine, and then me and a couple, and then we actually went to a restaurant with all the teams. It was Bayern, Real Madrid, Frankfurt.
I've seen a couple of pictures online.
Aye, who else? Dortmund, us, Juventus, another one.
How'd you go on?
We went for dinner the night before, reintroduction for the tournament and that, and then went back to the hotel, cut our wines, and then we had the game the next day. You should have seen the amount of fans that were in the hotel, just like waiting at the bottom of the lift for Ribery, and we all stayed in the same hotel, so we're all waiting for Ribery and all the big names and all that to obviously get autographs and all that. But when I was coming back through the airport yesterday, and I'm thinking, when I was a wee boy, I used to watch the Champions League, obviously, and remember players like Elba. Remember Elba with the white preds and that? I never thought one day I would have the guy in a headlock in a bar in Munich with a few wines in me, do you know what I mean? Like shouting Elba at the top of my voice.
You giving him one of them?
And then we just had a laugh and sitting there like...
Good guy.
Oh, they were all brilliant. Rafinha, Olic, Mandzukic.
Wow.
All just sitting, just having a couple of
He's
beers.
massive, isn't he?
Aye, they were at it. Big Hummels as well was playing in the tournament. But mate, it was a unbelievable setup. 11,000 fans there. You still go and get it on YouTube.
Like a wee indoor arena.
Wee indoor arena. Like amazing, like proper Astro put down, wee tiny pitch.
Suited you.
Rolling subs. No, actually, see, 'cause I'm recently retired, I needed a bit more space. There was like 60-year-olds for Juventus, and like you
couldn't get by them.
You couldn't get by them because it's no a big space. So
how did you fare?
Listen, you can go back and look at the footage, right?
I'm not going to look at the footage. How did you?
We were one each with Dortmund.
Where did you finish in the group?
We were one each with Dortmund, right? Two groups of three. The top two going to a semi. We were one each with Dortmund. Eventual winners. Time ended. They play. A bug's out of play. They then put it down and they play, and they score a goal.
So you got beat 2-1.
Beat 2-1. Well, the time's up. But the ref obviously didn't see it that way. Every other game after that, see, as soon as it went to 0, there was a big buzzer. Game was finished, but our game there was no buzzer. So anyway, we then went to play Real Madrid, and we needed to draw against Real because Dortmund beat them as well. Needed to draw to finish second to get in the semis, and we 2 each. We about a minute to go, and they scored. Sold one. So we were out. Bit of arguing after the games.
Who was the top boys, fitness wise?
But see, the thing is, Tom, fitness didn't come in yet because you were
so
never
tight
on the pitch for long enough. So you were on and off constantly.
Normally the younger ones are normally stand out that wee bit more though, don't they, in these type of games because they're
that's
a wee bit fitter.
Well, we spoke to the Dortmund the night before. A couple of them said, "Oh, yous are going to be all right because yous are young and fit." But it wasn't. We had good legs in our team, but it was not down to legs because you were swapping constantly. So you'd like people jump on and off. But anyway, the bottom line is we never got to we go out at the group stage. Out. Disappointing.
Always next year, mate.
No. What a setup though. They should do one here.
A little birdie told me that you had a wee accident in the bar.
What's that?
Can you tell us that story now?
No. We can't go into that. No.
Is that for later down the line?
That's
When we hit 20,000 subscribers.
That would not go behind the paywall.
Exclusive stuff. Scottish Cup weekend.
I know, mate.
I was at the game Saturday for Dunfermline Hibs. Huge result for Lennon.
Aye, what was it?
By the way, well deserved. Aye. No great game, to be fair. Lacked a wee bit of quality, but just shows you how big some of these clubs are in the Championship. I know they're in the Championship. You need to earn your right to get to the Premier League. I know it's a different discussion, but I think there was just over 10,000 fans there. 4,500 Hibs fans. Brilliant atmosphere. Scrappy game, I suppose, first half, but then it come alive a wee bit in the second half. But brilliant result, and obviously scoring so late never gave Hibs that opportunity to obviously get back in the game. But Dave's had a bit of stick for his team selection, the performance, obviously exiting the cup with the League Cup to Rangers.
What did Davies' team?
He doesn't really change, to be honest. Charlie Dave, he's 3-5-2 again. Mulligan obviously goes off injured halfway through the first half, which was a blow for them. He's obviously got that competitive nature, that combativeness of getting about the pitch, and typical game of basketball a wee bit, where it was a lot of second balls, a lot of 50-50s, a lot of turnovers, a lot of end-to-end stuff. But Kieran Bowie was someone that come under a wee bit of criticism, but I actually thought he was alright. I'm not so sure some of his runs were recognised by some of his teammates. They be cute, clever passes. He obviously has his massive chance late on in the first half when he goes through. I don't know if you've seen it, but he goes through probably too much time, does a wee shimmy, Mehmet and goals, narrows the angle, gets out really quick, and obviously doesn't score. Clegy has a huge chance in the second half for a header inside the 6-yard box. But I have to say, I thought Dunfermline were resolute. The back three were terrific. Robbie Fraser, left wing back, who I had it as a young boy at Rangers. Kieran Gwenya just inside him, who we had on loan at Kelly. Mentioned Kelly again for you. But no, I thought they were worthy winners, mate. And as you know Lenny better than anyone, he's a winner, isn't he?
As soon as I saw the fixture, I thought Dunfermline got a chance here, because I don't know what it is with him. He's got that winning mentality, and especially when he's underdog in that, Lenny.
Well, he's not used to being an underdog, is he? Really, I suppose.
Well, I just remember when we played in the Champions League.
He relishes it, doesn't he?
He loves it, and I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on exactly what that is, but he has you up for the games, and he has you gives you that sort of mentality.
He's got that presence in it, I think, and obviously the relationship that he had at Hibs, obviously being a manager there, I know a lot of Hibs fans really liked him when he was a manager there. I was a bit the same. Obviously Geordie's,
I think he should be I think Lenny could be a bit in a bigger job.
Aye, but listen,
I'm not taking nothing away from Dunfermline. Like they're in the Championship. I can think Premiership manager, no problem.
Aye, I agree. I suppose it that'll be his journey, won't it? It doesn't seem to me that he's on the way down.
No.
And he spoke really highly of the owner at Dunfermline, London guy that's obviously businesses over in America, obviously putting a bit of money in, investing in the squad, wants a young squad, got a certain way, obviously recruiting, analytic type thing as well. So probably a bit different for Lenny, innit, I suppose, in the modern day game, for what he's probably been used to, what he's come up through. But I was a bit the same. Obviously wanted the Hibs to do well. Geordie's obviously my best mate, so it's hard. I was kind of split.
I was just about to say a bit. I think his assistant lets him doing a wee bit.
He's split in the middle. He's on set plays and he scored off a set play. So albeit
I've heard good things about Geordie. You good?
He's top man, mate. He's great. He's great in the
You're
grass.
going to say that he's your mate.
But he's.
I've heard good things.
He's obviously a huge cog in our academy for me and him when we're a 2-man band. But brilliant. And listen, delighted for him. His family were there. My sister was there with the kids. And albeit your alliances are split.
He's not your mate, he's a brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, he's married to my sister.
Right.
So difficult one, because no doubt, that means you wanted Hibs to get beat. No, I wanted Hibs to win, but obviously in that scenario it's probably a no-win situation, because you want to see Geordie do well. I didn't know Lenny obviously as well as you do. But
that's disappointing for Hibs though, isn't it? Like, they're a team that they're never going to like split the Celtic Rangers. They obviously want to get up there and try and get third. But the cup's a big thing for them, innit?
And obviously Dave's, listen, that day in May 2016 is why it's made him Sir Davy Gray. Do you know what I mean? It's he'll always be embroidered in the club's history with that special day. But he knows better than anyone else. Like the fairy tale of the Scottish Cup, and the expectation of the Hibs fans is to try and get as far down the line as you possibly can in the competition. So in a game that I think was winnable for them, albeit a potential banana skin. It's not as though Dunfermline have been flying high in the Championship. They've had kind of good wee spells and kind of a couple of rough spells along the way. But a real disappointing result for them.
Hearts out as well.
Were you singing Sunshine on Leaf when they?
No, I don't mind what Hearts did in the Scottish Cup. I fully expect them to go through.
Do you? Did you expect them to win? Did you? I wasn't sure. You know.
Well, you know.
Listen, John McClunn's done an unbelievable job.
He's done brilliant.
I did think they were favourites to win, but
Falkirk were really good against Celtic. Celtic were poor during the week, but Falkirk were really good.
He's done a brilliant job.
He has.
Some journey.
It's mad how Celtic went for that.
Was he at Celtic when you were there?
He was when I was 18s. When I played for the 18s, he was the Hearts 18s coach.
I was the same when I was a kid. But so he wasn't involved at
and
Celtic.
Then he was in the scouting department for a bit. I didn't really see much of him, but he was there. And obviously learned a lot from Brendan Rodgers and took it into his Falkirk team. But I remember we played them pre-season and they were League One. Was it Dundee United? And the first pre-season game. Jack Ross was the manager, so you're thinking first pre-season game, you play against a League One team, it should be pretty simple or straightforward. And we get absolutely battered, mate. It was like, that embarrassing way where you're getting dragged from pillar to post and they're pressing the life out. He's canny. And I remember saying to the boys, like, it's all right, like, first pre-season game, like, don't get too down on ourselves here. And then we end up getting relegated, so...
Bad start continued.
Terrible. That was a sign of things to come. But no, he's good manager. And he's a lot of the same players, your Calvin Miller and that coming right through. He's done really well with him. Aye, Hendo.
How many times you won the Scottish Cup?
Scottish Cup, twice.
You? Once. Who against? Who was the cup final?
We beat Motherwell. I scored one of the best goals of my career in the Scottish Cup final.
In the Motherwell game? What was the score that game?
3-0. I scored the third
3-0.
Free kick.
Did you play in the Scottish Cup final I played in against Hibs? 3-0. Is that the other one you won?
Yeah, that's the one we won. Did you play in that?
I played in that, mate. I played for Hibs in that.
We didn't start that game great. I think you had a couple of chances.
A couple of big chances, mate. Boyd Doyle had a header, didn't he? Griff, obviously, to be fair, Griff, brilliant player.
You wore the black strip in that game. That was a bit...
Aye.
Did he feel right?
Aye. I remember Bruni getting a standing ovation when he went off. But Hooper scored, didn't he?
Hooper scored two goals. And then we...
Roasting it was that day.
Boiling.
Roasting.
Mate, see that day, right? We get back to Celtic Park and we parked on the other side of the stadium so we could come straight in the back side of the stadium and then go up to the lounge. So we come in the back.
Did the fans not go back? Did they go back to Celtic Park?
The fans went back to Celtic Park. So we
just
came
outside though.
Outside, so we came back to the far end so then we could go out and see the fans, but we'd go up to the lounge first. So we came in the far end and obviously we've had a few beers after the game, cut a bits of champagne and that. So we've a few wee glow in us. So we're a couple of beers in the bus. So we'll get off the bus, we've come in the far stand, we went underneath the turnstiles and that, and then there's the toilets. Me and Bruni went, right, jump in, we're going to jump in and get a piss before we go there. So me and him jumped in the toilets, right? We went in the toilet, and stadiums, you go in one door, and because they want it to be a continuous, you go out the other door. Me and Bruni went in this door, right, done a piss, tried to go out the same door, but there's no handle and you can't get out it. So me and him stood in the toilet for about 15 minutes, like we're stuck, so we're trying to phone the boys and all that. Like, come and get us and that. We stood in this toilet for, honestly, mate, you can ask me this, we stood for 10 minutes in the toilet. I was trying to get my fingernails underneath the door. See the door you come in? I'm like, it's a Dumb and Dumber, man.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get my fingernails up, and he's like, trying to get the side of it. Like, what the fuck's going on here?
I'd love to have seen that.
Sat for 10 minutes, trying to phone the boys, not, but we're stuck.
Brilliant.
Eventually, mate, I seen another door, like away on the other side. It was one of the big toilets, just went and opened it up. Swear to God, just won the Scottish Cup, man.
Brilliant.
Aye, man, what a good. It's a great way to end the season, and it's always usually a nice day. How many times?
Just once, mate. Just once.
Who'd you beat?
Obviously, that final would obviously got beat, which would have been a boyhood dream for me to win a trophy for any trophy. To be fair, for Hibs, obviously, but we were UEFA Cup final season, 2008, I think it would have been.
Who'd you play?
Queen of the South. So probably one of the days, end up losing the league, beating UEFA Cup final. It was one of the ones that was tough, like loads of games in a short period of time. Obviously, the climax of the season was unbelievable. If you could relive one season, apart from obviously the outcomes of the UEFA Cup final, and obviously then falling at the final hurdle in the league. But 2-0 up, cruising, and then Walter. I suppose the reason why he was meticulous and just had a feel for certain scenarios. He gave us a rollicking at half time. Not me specifically, the team. We were 2-0 up, cruising, and then within I think 10-15 minutes of the second half, it was 2-2. And that look that you just gave me is like how I felt on the pitch. You're like, oh no, like what's going on here?
So after he gave you a rollicking?
Gave us a rollicking at half time.
It never worked?
Well, I think he knew that we might have been 2-0 up and it might have felt that we were cruising, but from his perspective we weren't. And he could almost sense the danger. As you know, I know a lot of people say, well, surely you'd rather be 2-0 up than 2-0 down, but 2-0 is a funny scoreline, isn't it, in football?
But then that would suggest that what he done there went the other way, or do you think that it was going to go that way and he was trying to claw it back?
I think he was trying to claw it back. I think he recognised that we were going to get bit in the backside, and it happened, inevitable. And then I think, I'm sure it was Boydie scored a rocket free. for 30 yards free kick, one of the best
That's
strikes I'll
right.
ever see. I'm sure DeMarcus Beasley scored that day, but aye, proud as punch as you are, but it comes back to that thing that we were saying last week, like probably never enjoyed it the way we should have. When you win the Scottish Cup at the end of the season, and then you've got your holidays and that booked, and you're getting a break, it should be the best day ever. But I think just that season alone, isolated with the real disappointment of how Manchester finished, and then losing the league, and at one stage we could have won the quadruple, that group, which is incredible, really. Do you know what I mean? But even if we'd got over the line for the title, to win the treble, to then obviously get to Manchester, it still would have been an unbelievable season. It was an unbelievable season, but you know better than anyone, I think, that the mentality when you didn't quite get over the line in certain competitions, it still sticks in the back of your throat.
Do you think that Hearts are now outright? So do you think they're thinking it's one less distraction for us? I know they're disappointed, right? But Shankland's potentially injured. I don't know if he's going to be all right for the game on Saturday.
Devlin's in a moon boot.
Devlin's struggling.
Beningame now suspended. I've actually not seen if Beningame is going to have a 2 or 3 match suspension, because obviously it would go down as violent conduct, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure how that's obviously in the league games, obviously. So now at the Scottish Cup, but I said it when I done the BBC podcast just on Sunday night there. I think if you want to have the mentality of a group that is going to go the full road, which I think they are going to go the full road when it comes to the title race, I think getting beat in the Scottish Cup, I don't think you can come out and say that, right, that's one less distraction.
No.
We're happy now. It's not how we would see it, would we?
No, but when I think about no wanting Hearts to win the league, I think, now they've got one leg. Now they've only got the league to focus on.
I suppose for neutrals we can look at it in that perspective. But I think this is, when you think of winning, through the week in Beningame, so they've done it against Dundee, they then do it through the week, 45 minutes against Dundee, and another 75 minutes through the week to get over the line to win 2-0. For guys like Blair Splittle to come on and make an impact, who's not played much football, there's definitely resilience within the squad. You think of Craig Gordon coming back in the team, back out the team. So he's obviously created a brilliant environment for these players to flourish, and there's obviously a real togetherness. I would say that's the biggest thing, the togetherness within the squad.
I said this the other day though, I think that Shankland, if he's injured, I don't know how bad it is, but if he misses it, that's a big. I don't know how Devlin, 100% the amount of work that Devlin does. I don't know how you replace that.
Magnuson, I'm not so sure is quite the same type, is he?
No, he's not as good at it.
McAtee's obviously been out. I think he'll get thrown straight back in, and he can easily play in the middle of the pitch. He can easily play, and they can rotate different players. I think that's the good thing that Derek's had at his disposal. When you think of Harry Mullen, like he's played in a variety of different positions at times. We've seen him playing left back. He's also played on the other side. I think the flexibility in the squad actually might just help to accommodate for some of these. They've obviously got the January transfer window as well, and Derek obviously openly said after his game that it might now be, it might now put no pressure, I think, for above, but it might now make them go and utilise the transfer market. It might make them utilise it in different positions for what they might have plan B now up their sleeve because of certain injuries. But I can see what you mean with no having the distraction in the Scottish Cup, but Scottish Cup falls on Saturdays, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Normally, so it's like week to week. I didn't get puts too much pressure on the squad having to play a midweek game.
Well then, but you look at it, Shankland's then played another game and potentially done a hamstring,
I don't think it's the reports say it's no too bad, but you'd suggest that he's potentially going to. Does he play on Sunday?
Nah, is it Sunday?
If he doesn't play on Sunday, which is huge.
You would be buzzing if Shankland's not playing Sunday. I would be buzzing if he doesn't play Sunday. I don't know how Hearts don't look the same. To take Devlin, take Shankland out. That's what I always thought about Hearts. I think they're like a couple of injuries. Listen, they might prove me wrong. People might step in. They might still grind things out. But I just think that big players like that are going to be missing for them. It's Devlin, the amount of work he does in there, picking up second balls. Shankland obviously leads a line captain. I say he might be back for the game. Who knows? But it would be a concern.
Who wins the Scottish Cup?
Listen, I still think Celtic, the longer January goes without getting signings in, worries me. But you're going to assume they're going to get players in. If they do get the right players in, which is a big if, I think Celtic can still win a
You're
double.
saying if which players? I'm presuming you mean a centre forward.
They need a centre forward. 100% need a centre forward. I mean, it's like clear as day for me.
I said on the podcast, the BBC one that I done there on Sunday night, that I watched the game. Obviously Talbot, as you would give them lots of plaudits, and rightly so. I thought they were terrific. Celtic had them where they wanted, didn't they? My biggest concern, and obviously it's just been a neutral really, was that I think he's a wonderful player. He's had a brilliant career, but when James Forrest shows more enthusiasm than other players on the pitch and shows an impetus to try and create and run and like risk the ball and play the acute passes to be really creative in the final third, I think if he becomes one of your most creative players in the final third, I think it's a worry. In the greatest respect, because I think he's a brilliant player and he can still contribute massively to Celtic, but if he is one of the biggest attributes in the final third for Celtic, then they're short.
Oh, they're short big time. I think that game shows it.
Aye.
You get Forrest that can make an impact.
He's not going to play week in, week out, is he?
But I think he's got a case. He's got a case still to maybe start games.
I agree,
but definitely play a part in it. But when you go through the squad,
the next is obviously his goals brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a brilliant finish, and he's got that quality. But is he inconsistent enough? Is he inconsistent enough, or is he consistent enough to score the goals that are going to propel Celtic to some sort of silverware this year? That would be the worry. I cannot see how Martin O'Neill goes back in. I do see how he goes back in, but I can't see how he goes back in without some guarantees and some sort of shortlist in place.
Yeah,
that allows him to spend some money in the positions that he feels. We can all say the centre forward, but in the positions that he feels will be key to helping Celtic get success. I can't see how they've not got players in the pipeline waiting to come in.
I know, and it does.
But the longer it goes, the more worrying concern it is.
So just while I look at Maeda's position, that's a screenshot of him. A still picture of him coming far too deep beyond the midfield. Like he's past Engels and Nygren here, receiving the ball there. I mean, I think that's a weak...
Threatening the line, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
That's his strength.
I think it's a pointless pass unless you're breaking the lines with it. And then the other one is this. If you look at him here, how deep his came scales, we are past, like, to put it the other side, I don't think there's any benefit in that.
He's actually done the wee bits alright, isn't he? He is more than capable of being neat and tidy, but it's like his brilliant attributes are threatening the line, playing on people's shoulders, getting in behind, stretching the game for Celtic, causing havoc in the back line. When he's dropping in there,
I honestly think Maeda's movement's no great as a striker. That's my opinion. I think that if based on the clips and based on what I see, I think, why does Celtic need a striker, right? So Maeda for me comes all the way in here to receive the pass, past his midfielders, receives it here, and maybe passes it back there or switches the other side, but doesn't he actually break a line? If you think of somebody like a striker, like, for example, I think of somebody, Gary Hooper, right? How he'd be brilliant for Celtic right now is if he starts long and gets the timing right and eye contact right with Scales and appears here and stays still and plants himself, the ball comes up and all of a sudden you're breaking lines. You know what I mean?
He was brilliant at that, wasn't he?
And then you get your body and you hold it in, and all of a sudden now you can get runners off the front of you, and now you're starting to cause bother. You're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 out the game with one pass. Right now he's coming far too deep and receiving it in there. And centre half for Falkirk, I watched them. They just stood there and let him go because they knew that he was running into bodies and going nowhere. The other thing he does as well is when the ball's on the, just say it's with Scales or in that side, he sometimes peels away to this for this, away. He's sort of the diagonal, but Celtic don't play diagonal. So I know he's maybe trying to leave space for a tatty, but I believe he should be. If he's got that one where he's going to threaten get in there, and all of a sudden if he receives it, centre back say, the midfield will be turning round saying to get tight with him. So somebody goes tight, just say the right centre half or whoever comes in tight. If it's Hearts, whatever they're playing, that leaves that space. He can then check and go in there as long as he gets the timing right. I don't think he makes enough good forward runs. He does it much better for the left wing for me, Maeda. Doesn't do it anywhere near enough at the top end of the pitch, and he doesn't comes far too deep to receive. So I think somebody like, I always say Hooper, because he had that frame where he could come back, get his back in, fucking arse in, and receive it at his feet and get the team up the pitch. I don't think there's anywhere near enough of that, and it's an area that needs to be sorted
They've been linked with Callum Wilson. Eh? He would be that type of.
He would do that
platform. He running behind. He's strong, powerful. Had his injury problems, I suppose, but obviously we don't want to be disrespectful to Hibs, obviously, and link Hibs players, but like a Kieran Bowie has obviously got that physical attribute. Yeah. Like knows Keenan's dropping into midfield to get a touch of the ball, probably a bit more. I think Maeda in his defence just gets a wee bit impatient. Maybe like with the build-up play, Celtic, if it's a bit too slow, maybe goes into areas. I do think, I agree with you in the respect, I think he is quite a straight line runner. I don't know how much football IQ he's got to timing the runs and recognising where the space is, but listen, he's a really good player and he's been so effective, but probably Maeda at his best, you would think that he's getting in behind people, making the darting runs, whereas when he's coming and getting involved with boys like Hatatis, your McGregors, Engels, etc., they probably didn't want him in there. He just probably gets in the road, doesn't he?
I think 100%. I think when you look back at Kyogo, he wasn't brilliant at coming to feet. I think that's maybe why Brendan Rodgers wasn't a massive fan of Kyogo, but he made the runs in behind constantly. So it would maybe stretch the back line a wee bit, and they would all of a sudden come back here because they knew the threat was constantly looking to run and the timing of the run, and it creates a bit more space. That's what I think. I think Celtic does he cry out for a striker, as everybody knows, and that's the type of striker they need.
Does he play number 9 against Hearts on Sunday? It's Sunday, isn't it?
He'll need to.
I've not been looking at the Celtic fixtures, mate.
Aye. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday, innit?
Huh? Sunday 3 p.m.
Blockbuster.
He's got to. I think so. What's the options? It's him or Kenny against Falkirk. I don't know if Martin O'Neill was making a statement at the board or whatever he was doing. There was 4 midfielders in the pitch. Engels was Nygren was the furthest up the pitch. There was times where they'd know there's 4 in there.
Number 9.
No, number 9. They'd kind of 4 in that midfield area. Then they changed it and brought Kenny on. Kenny's developing, but he's not going to. I don't know if he would start him. He could maybe. I don't know. It's whether you think Maeda can play in the left and Kenny up top is better than Maeda up top and Tenekti. Tenekti for me,
he's a good player, isn't he? But he is hot and cold.
He's hot and cold. I mean, you know, within
his finish against Talbot was incredible. Really, do you know what I mean? It's the quality you expect, but there was times where he obviously gets to the byline and then doesn't get his cross in. He might win the odd corner or whatever, but as I say, like I'm watching the game and thinking, like James Forrest, for me, is still more effective and more consistent and more reliable. And how tight things are.
When I think of Hearts, the game coming Sunday, Hearts are going to put 3 in that midfield area, right? So they 3 usually, because Dell's quite man for man in the past, and he quite likes people getting up against people. And I think the natural attributes of his midfield, they like to get tight to men. So there's your 3 midfield for Celtic, as in, I don't know if that's the personnel, but that'll be that'll
not be far away, will it?
It won't be far away, but that's what it'll look like. So then you'll have 3-man marking, or definitely being close enough. I think that's where that's so important with that pass. Because if you pass it and it's there, you're not getting them past the lines. Whereas if you break the lines a few times with the ball right up to the striker, that's how you create that sort of overload in there, or getting somebody else to come inside here to help out, whether it be a winger that comes inside or a fullback goes in and sort of overloads that midfield area. But
I'm intrigued to see how it goes.
Aye, what do you think Hearts do? What if
I think they'll hold on to the fact that the success that they've had off of Celtic before. Obviously, we're flying a kite, I suppose, when it comes to Dell's personnel, what he's going to go. I totally agree with probably the same insight that you'll have. Is they'll go there and be hard. They'll be hard to beat.
Yeah,
they'll be robust. They'll be they'll play on set plays.
Yeah, which
will be huge, I think. Depending on which centre backs he ends up playing, whether it be Halkett, Finley's, Kizaridis' delivery is second to none. And with the game being such on a knife edge, there will be loads of free kicks, there will be loads of opportunities to put balls in the box. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if set plays become really important in the outcome of the result. I think if Celtic have any aspirations of winning this title, they have to beat Hearts on Sunday.
Do you think it's a must win?
It's a must win for me. I think if Hearts can get through it with a draw or any sort of victory, then to me, I know Rangers are going along quietly. I would go as far as saying I would make Rangers the favourites if Celtic didn't beat Hearts on Sunday.
Rangers will be desperate for a draw, won't they?
A draw probably suits them better, but then I think a draw suits Hearts because it keeps them obviously, keeps their noses in front. Listen, it's intriguing, man. It's like I've seen me won over a lot of Jambo fans. They seem to like my.
Are they liking
my praise
it?
towards the Jambos, but people do like that. I call them the Jambos. I grew up saying the Jambos. It's like I'm not going to change for people, but I'm intrigued because it's brilliant for us. It's brilliant. I think Derek McInnes and the staff and all the players deserve an enormous amount of credit. But if you're Martin O'Neill and you're that Celtic group and you want your hands on that title, then this game is massive.
So how much? Right, here's a thought I had. Right, how realistic do you think this is? Would Hearts sell Shankland or Kizarides to Celtic?
No chance. Well,
they would
tough to if the money was right, wouldn't they?
This is what I mean. So everybody's got their price.
Aye, of course, aye.
What's Shankland and Kizarides? What's their price?
Well, they've both got longest term deals without knowing specifically how. Shankland just signed his deal in the summer, obviously. Do you know what I mean? So say 3 years, Shankland's got. Kizarides will be the same. I think Kizarides will end up getting sold abroad somewhere, I would imagine. But listen, you don't want to sound disrespectful to any other club when it comes to Rangers and Celtic, but it's the same when Rangers and Celtic, their players come and get bought by people that have got bigger pockets than them. So everybody's got a price. You have to understand, like, in the greatest respect, where you're in the layer cake. I cannot see Celtic coming in unless you're telling me different and trying to sign Lawrence Shankland.
I can't see it, right? But
you would.
Let's imagine they just go, we're going for it here. Let's be brave. Let's go for Shankland. Let's take Hearts' legs away from them.
You think you're playing Football Manager, don't you?
Oh, wait a minute, right? So there's a price on everybody, right? You're saying he won't sell, right? So would Shankland, would he go for 10 million quid going for nothing in the summer?
Oh, listen, my argument to that is, would Celtic pay that kind of money for him?
I don't think they would.
No.
But what I'm saying is, if it's worth, just say for talk's sake, 3-4 million plus your Champions League money. So just say it's, we're throwing numbers out there, but let's say between 30 and 40 million for qualifying. I know the league doesn't guarantee you get the Champions League, but if you think, right, we win the league and then we qualify, do you think it's worth putting 15 to 20 million out and taking Braga and Kizarides after them? Shankland, Kizarides, throw Braga in if they're wanting to.
I cannot see it. But
you think
what I would say is, from a football perspective, minus the numbers, like, Rangers or Celtic should have signed Shankland in the summer.
100%.
Like,
and that's why it would be a brave move, because now they would need to go, we made a mistake in the summer. We'll take him now. There we go. There's a starting bid of 5. We don't want 5. Do you think Tony Bloom would sell him?
I think he's a businessman, isn't he? So he's every player will have his price. And I think Lawrence will be 29 now, approaching 30. So for the type of player he is, I would say he's in his prime years, really, because he's probably never been the most mobile, if you know what I mean, but a brilliant football player, brilliant finisher, great goal scorer. And the harsh reality is, like, he could demand as an individual far more wages at a club like Rangers or Celtic, or if he potentially went somewhere else down the road or whatever. So there has to be the element of, you look after number one as well a wee bit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all right, people saying, oh, you need to be loyal, you need to be this, you need to be that, but we both know you get to 35 and you've been loyal to a club, and then all of a sudden a new manager comes in and doesn't like you and you didn't get a new contract, and then all of a sudden you need to go and find a new job or whatever. It doesn't pay your bills, does it? Do you know what I mean? So it's
alright saying being loyal, right? If Shankland, for talking sake's on 10 grand a week, right? I don't know. And he gets offered 20. He's off.
It's hard.
The price is right.
The harsh reality is Lawrence wouldn't have the say in that, because obviously Hearts would need to negotiate a deal. But I love your reckoning and I see it. I think the position that Hearts have found themselves in, I would suggest that unless it's astronomical, ludicrous money, Tony Bloom and Derek McInnes will be digging their heels in for fun to not allow any player to go, to see what the development of the season happens.
Dig your heels in all you want. Everybody's got their price.
You've played football. You play Football Manager the way that you just add the manager of Hearts and accept the bid, don't you? I used to cheat when I was a kid. I know your ways.
I honestly couldn't do that. I used to go. I couldn't. You used to edit the game, didn't you?
You could edit. You make yourself the best player in the world.
Or you Or you go another team and you accept the bid. Nah.
Who wins? I know you're obviously going to, but do you really fancy Celtic?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't, Tomo. I don't. It's the one game where I think it suits Hearts so much. I feel that any time they've proved it this year, they've played Celtic and Rangers twice each, beat them 4. They just seem like I don't know, whatever Dell has got them up for it or whatever. They don't suit being in possession. I don't think. I think it suits them to be in possession. I think they've proved it. The last 2 games they've played most of the games with 10 men, and as soon as that happened, I thought, oh, here we go. They've sort of got that mentality where they're a battling team that they come up against Celtic and Rangers and they almost feel like the underdogs. Whatever Dell says to them, it's clever for him. I don't fancy Celtic. It's a right tough game, especially if they don't have a striker on the door. If a striker's not in it, I think what would get a huge lift this week is if somebody was signed before the game. I think the whole I don't even think it's necessarily the guy coming on and making an impact and scoring a hat-trick. I think it's what it does to the rest of the team. So all of a sudden the rest of the team go, oh, here we go. We're no more. You then get Callum McGregor going, right, you know what it's like? We've got a new player, but a name in the building. Let's go and let's show him I'm a good player. Let's show that we're a good team. Let's set this. Everybody run about gets a lift. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
And it's, what's this guy going to bring you? It's a new dynamic. I think when you look back at the Falkirk game, I mean, how Celtic won that game is mad. It's like the Martin O'Neill effect. It's how do you put your finger on it? They would have lost that under Nonce. Under Martin O'Neill, they ground the game out, and you're thinking, if a striker's in the building, everybody gets a lift. They go and win it maybe more comfortably. I'm not saying every game would be like that, but initially your team get a lift, and then 6 weeks down the line, you'll maybe get another lull, or 5 weeks down the line there'll be another lull. But I think the making of champions and the making of teams that want to fight for titles, you need to win games ugly, 1-0, 1 and 2-0. So going back to my point, I think if Celtic can get somebody in by Sunday, I would be a lot more confident. I think the whole place would get a lift for that. What do you think?
These next 10 games are huge, aren't they?
Oh, mate.
The outcome, when you think, listen, Rangers have done business, 3 new signings, going along quietly.
Big things been said about the boy Olsen, by the way.
Aye. I've had a wee watch of the footage, some of the boys that have put up. They've, listen, any signing, it's like you didn't know Mulligan's about them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they hit the ground running, hopefully. But he's been back Danny Rowe, hasn't he? And rightly so. Do you know what I mean? He's had a terrific record since he's went in there. It's a wee bit like, listen, I'm not comparing Danny Rowe at this precise moment in time to Martin O'Neill, but he's had that effect where there's games that probably Rangers would have lost under Russell Martin, and Danny Rowe's found ways of winning. That's
what worries me about Danny Rowe, because I think Rangers have been poor at times and still won games.
They've adapted, don't they? He's been really. I think he's adapted to what he's got at his disposal. It'll be interesting to see how his team develops with signing players that he obviously wants to bring through the door. It's so intriguing, isn't it? Because I think no matter the outcome on Sunday, this game for Rangers is better than it is for Celtic or Hearts, if that makes sense, because somebody's going to potentially drop points. It gives them that wee opportunity to obviously keep that wee bit closer. But a 3-way title race, the next 10 games for me, once we get to week game 30, just before that split, I think whoever's at top wins it.
You think so?
Aye.
I don't know how many times I've said this season the next 5 games are massive, and all of a sudden we're still sat. Do you know what I mean? It's mental.
Mad. I thought with the 2 games that Hearts had, the Dundee game, I thought they were going to drop points when they went down to 10 men. They found a way and a resilience to get over the line. Obviously, we touched on it, the brilliant save for Craig Gordon. And then they find themselves down to 10 men through the week. Benningham may get sent off. They still find a way of winning.
Except I'm the only team in the league that when Hearts were down to 10 men, they were trying to get the player back on. No, that didn't count. Start again. We want them to have 11 men because we don't want the ball.
He's starting to come under a bit of scrutiny.
They're struggling, aren't they?
Listen, he's got loads of credit in the bank. Back 3 actually, not back to back, 3 in a row, top 6 finishes, winning the cup. What
I'll say in his defence is he's got so many injuries in midfield, isn't he? Like there was 5 of them injured at one point. I know Phillips and that came back, but
he dug the players out, didn't he?
I wasn't happy with the way they trained.
Aye, which I think was more alarming than just actually saying the players were really poor on the night. I think when you then question what's getting done through the week, on a day-to-day basis. I was a wee bit. That'll go two ways for him. Listen, I think he's got enough credit in the bank, and rightly so. I know he's linked with Aberdeen job, etc., and he's obviously winning the cup has been huge. 3 back-to-back top 6 finishes. He's got enormous credit in the bank, but as we know in this industry, do you know what I mean? You're based on results, aren't you?
Scored 1 goal since the cup.
The worry bit for me is how the players react to it. Have they got the mentality that he seems quite a fiery character, Stephen Robinson, without really knowing him personally? I've only come across him a couple of times, but and echoing or reiterating that he's done a brilliant job, but you start to then publicly criticise the players. Like, have the St Mirren players got that mentality to rise to that challenge, to stick their chest to like, if you're moping around and he's giving you an opportunity to get in the team and you're banging on his door to say that I deserve to play, and then you're coming up with their performances or your training daily, the day-to-day, we're obviously...
But see, if they are training shite, right, so just say they are training shite and he said that, the players should just fucking get on with it.
I know.
They should be honest enough with themselves to go, have I been training badly? Do you know what I mean? Instead of, they shouldn't moan and go, he's moaning, he's Kane, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I know, but I think that's your mentality, mate. For the player that you were and the circles that you swam in, really. Do you know what I mean? The players that you played with. I've been exposed to different groups of players through my career, and listen, you'll be the same. You'll have seen players at Dundee United. You'll have seen when you've been at Aberdeen. Like, sometimes the mentality of groups can be a bit blasé, a bit.
Yeah, I think that's what's important, of proper leaders in the squad.
Aye.
Don't allow that to happen.
You think of boys like Marcus Fraser and that'll have been catalysts for obviously creating a great environment for Stephen Robinson. I know Kershaw quite well, do you know what I mean? He'll be in the players, but when you start, they've recruited a lot of players obviously for down south, etc. Do you know what I mean? And when things maybe turn another way, it sometimes can be hard to get back. I remember Scotty saying to me when he was at Fleetwood, he lost the dressing room, really honest. I'm like, how? Like, the presence that he's got, his personality, and he's like, signed too many players, training was too tough, asked too much of them, big clique weren't really having us and couldn't really change the narrative. I'm like, so it's like he obviously felt it a wee bit, and I was like, a bit taken aback, just because obviously how highly I think him and how much obviously I care about him, that obviously desperate to see him do well. But he was really honest with me when he was telling me, and I was like, right. And then you started to divulge in a wee bit once, and like I felt that when I was at Hibs and Terry Butcher lost the changing room, I actually felt as experienced players were really forthcoming, even though he never treated some of us particularly well. I think we were really forthcoming and trying to keep it together for him, because we did care, and I think we were the right types. But he made a lot of boys fragile, and even like experienced players like Liam Craigs, who's obviously now back at the Hibs, guys like James McPake, I think Tim Clancy. Like, we were the kind of older generation in the team, but then you had young players breaking through, who were international playing, and Ryan McGivern. It was like the best way to describe him was like a baggy jaggies, like how he was getting treated, and the animosity within the training, the separation between the staff to the players. I'm not insinuating that Stephen Robinson's got that situation now, but when these things do come to the forefront, it can be difficult.
Exactly that. It's like when you get a couple of boys saying, what about him saying that about us in the media? Because that's what happens, right? You need your players, like, and I'd imagine Marcus Fraser's a good lad keeping through at Celtic. He's a leader and an honest player. You've got Gogic, you've got players in there you'd imagine would go, shut up. Were we shite? Did we train bad? If we did, let's go on with it. We need to start winning games. Let's no moan and blame, basically. Because when we were at obviously Celtic and Lenny would go mad after games. I mean, some of the stuff Lenny would say to you after games, right? But it would be too easy. Like, boys would go, what about that? What about him saying that? Or what about him saying that? And we had too many boys in the changing room, like myself, Bruni, Joe Ledley, Hooper, McQuarter. We would say, well, he was right, we get beat, so let's move on, who cares? Forget about it. He didn't mean it personally, he's upset, we get beat, let's just win the next game. And I think you need the types, because managers can say stuff and lose in the heat of the moment, but you can't take it too personally. You've got to understand that the same guy that if you win a game is probably dancing about the place and saying you're the best players in the world. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth for me.
It's football, isn't it? But if they don't start winning games quick, they're on a slippery slope, aren't they?
Oh no, they need to start. They can't score.
Slippery slope.
Right, some great viewers' questions in. Dave's got a few questions for us. It's a thing we want to start doing every week. Coming challenges, tactics board, anything you want to understand, we'll try and help explain it, and if we don't know it,
tough.
tough, you're not getting answered it. Right, so Dave, you got some questions for us?
Right, we've got a question from Lewis here. So, do the Old Firm have a snobbery when it comes to signing the best players within the league? Look back at the backbone of Rangers under Walter Smith and Celtic under Strachan. The spine of the team was made up of the best players in Scotland. Why don't Rangers and Celtic meet the asking price for these clubs for the players instead of spending millions on players from other leagues that don't understand the intensity?
Brilliant, Lewis.
Yep, good question.
Right, I went through a lot of the questions. They've been brilliant, haven't they?
Yeah, really
brilliant. No, but I think that's an intriguing one because obviously we both were. Obviously, I got signed by Rangers under Walter Smith. I was his first money signing, obviously, when he went back under
How
Paul
much was it for?
2 million.
So they went 2 million for you?
Bargain, eh? By the way, that was a lot back then.
I know.
That was a lot, but I think when you think you like Lewis Ferguson springs to mind straight away. Recent players, obviously Shankland, there was an opportunity, he was linked at times.
So first of all, we'll go why they not doing it, because we can see there's Lewis Ferguson, Shankland.
My humble opinion is I think it's sometimes, well, obviously it's to do with the manager, that's obvious, but I was going to say it sometimes goes off the back of who's in the role of the manager at these given clubs at that given time when these players become available. And I've not got it in paper in front of me, but I think if it was when Neil Lennon was the Celtic manager, going back to his time, because I know Lenny reasonably well and I know you know him well, I think he'd go and buy Scott Brown again.
Yeah.
I think if Walter was the manager of the Rangers again, I think he'd go and buy me again. I think he'd go and buy an easy. Whereas I think if there was different managers, i.e. like a Paul Le Guen, when he had his time, a Pedro Casinha, when he had his time, I'm not so sure they would then go and recruit the best players domestically. That's my humble opinion. But somebody is going to turn around to me and say, well, Tomo doesn't know what he's talking about because Jimmy, when he was the Rangers manager, he signed Jimmy, Bobby and Harry. There will be...
I think you've got a point, because I don't know many foreign managers that came in the game and went for Scottish talent.
I can't think off the top of my head.
I know for a fact Lenny came for me because he knew the league and he knew what I'd done against Celtic, and he knew, and he had an interest in the Scottish game. I think managers potentially come and go, no, I can sign better out with, and I think the first place you should look is from within the people. First thing I've done as Celtic manager, and I know I've said that 100 times, and I'd have went and get Shankland straight away. Even I'd have went and done that 2 years ago. He'll score goals for you.
I don't know Barry's specific list when he was obviously interim manager at Rangers, but I do know that there was conversations of the players that he obviously wanted to recruit, and I know there was Scottish players on his list that he wanted to sign.
Shankland was on there
for sure.
Forget the boy at Hibs' name. What's his name again? Mulligan was
already
there.
signed and sealed. Right?
And I'm right away that would improve Rangers.
And it's maybe just me trying to reiterate my point really, but I do think it's quite an important part of Lewis's brilliant question is depending on who's in charge of ticking off the deal really.
So does Lewis ask why do we think it's not, or what's his actual?
Aye, so just like, is there a snobbery? And
is there a snobbery?
Yeah,
there is a snobbery, I think. Here's your question. There's a snobbery from managers that think they can get better players that are foreign or play in England. Whereas if you look right under your nose in Scotland, there's talent there. I think even we're talking about Shankland, we're talking about Mulligan, we're talking about players that everybody's talking about, right? So I look and go, is there anybody else? See Ross Graham at Dundee United? Left-sided centre-back. He's somebody that maybe no get the name, or maybe no Dundee United and they flying third in the league, so there's a lot of attention on him. But he's captain of Dundee United, early 20s, 6'4",
loads of games on
really good in the air, played games, good left foot, defends the box well. There's no reason why he couldn't do what Scales is doing, given that opportunity. So there's one who nobody's mentioned, Ross Graham. There'll be more than that.
The boy Watson at Kelly.
There you go. Watson at Kelly.
He has been linked at times, right? But then you think that a more recent one, you think Lennon Muller.
Yep.
Cannot believe.
Shouldn't have been let go out of this country.
No, I agree. Brilliant question, Lewis.
Great question.
Thanks, mate.
What's next, Dave?
So we've got a question from Rachel Mayer. Who do you guys think's the Scottish Premiership Player of the Season at this stage?
Oh, good question. So at this stage,
Do you naturally look at obviously Hearts because they're at the top of the league, aren't you? But obviously,
No.
like, no.
nah,
Cammy
definitely.
Definitely not getting Cammy. Definitely. Surely it would be.
Yeah.
If sports writers were picking their shortlist now, there has to be at least a Hearts player or two in that.
Who are we picking though?
The journals didn't know what they're talking about.
Let's get a three. Let's get a three.
I'm going to throw one because I said that on
Okay.
a podcast just recently. I think Jamie McGrath has been brilliant for Hibs, and I didn't think Hibs have had quite the brilliant season that they would hope. Obviously knocked out both cups that we've touched on, sitting fifth, still have aspirations to finish fourth. If they do finish fourth, it's been a long time since Hibs have went third in the league and then backed it up. You have to go back to Tony Mulgrew era. Since Hibs, normally if Hibs have a good season, they normally then find themselves have a difficult season next to game one. So if Dave Cunn turn this next 14, 15 games into finishing in fourth, I think Jamie McGrath, if he can continue his form, I think he scored 8 or 9 goals now from midfield, albeit a couple of penalties in there. He would be a wee left curveball for me that would be in them. I'm not saying he'd be player of the year, but he'd be.
I don't think we could put him in the new though.
Connor
If
Barron
I've only got three,
now finds himself injured.
no Connor Barron
He was
in the top
he was
three.
Brilliant for Rangers, mate, for a period there. Brilliant he was. A catalyst for Rangers turning their season around.
Right, so let's go.
Braga's the standout for me. So there's I've gave you my 3.
Would that be your three
Aye.
right now?
Aye.
Barron, McGrath, Braga.
Aye.
Nah. So my 3 would be Keziridis, Shankland.
You trying to win the Jambos over?
They're top of the league.
How can?
So put it this way, right?
Finlay.
Whoever wins Player of the Year
Beningame.
is going to. Whoever wins Player of the Year is going to be the team that wins the league. You know what I mean?
Aye, I get.
So right now Hearts are top of the league. I'm saying Keziridis. Oh no.
See, I think you can have a brilliant season, but no be at the team at the top of the league for a personal accolade.
You could, but it's like
Like I think
Ballon
Jamie,
d'Or's always going to be the Champions League.
I know,
winner.
but I'm just. I want to be different. I just think like Jamie McGrath could play in that Hearts team.
I like McGrath. I played with him. He's a good player. So we're asked, who's your Player of the Year? We got one to pick.
One to pick, yeah.
Oh, well, we've named about 20.
I'm going to go.
I think that shows you how hard, because there's loads of players that have done well,
know.
isn't there?
By the way, if Celtic win the league, Scales must have a shout. But
His biggest issue is he fell out the team, eh?
yeah.
And that's a wee bit like a wee Connor Barron. I think he was catalyst for Rangers, but he's now injured, obviously, so he's probably not going to play a lot. I think he's rumoured to be out for kind of 8 to 10 weeks or whatever, so he's not going to play a large chunk of the next lot of fixtures. So that will obviously stand against him. But I think for a period of time there when Rangers went on a good run and found themselves back in a title race, he was catalyst for a lot of the good things that Rangers done.
Yeah, Butland's been good on, hasn't he?
Butland, aye, forget about Jack.
I'm just going to pick one right now. Player of the Year so far for me in Scotland so far. I'm going to go Shankland.
I'm going to go Braga.
Nice. Shankland,
If I had to
Braga.
pick one. Good question. Who was that, Dave?
Emma, something.
Emma.
Rachel Mayer.
Thanks, Rachel.
Mayer. Thanks, Rachel.
So the next question here is from Kevin Rist, and he said, do you think Mulligan gets in the Celtic team, and who would you have him instead of?
I think Mulligan's, even though he's a real good player and he's playing every week for Hibs, and he's been linked with a few moves, he's getting close to the national squads. I think he's a development one. I think he's a type that could easily go to Rangers and Celtic and he would grow. A bit like what you see in like a Lyle Cameron, they're going on loan to Aberdeen, a Connor Barron, find themselves out the team, in the team. I think it's a big jump for, playing for Hibs every week or playing for Dundee every week or playing for like a team out with the Old Firm and then just jump straight into that squad and go and be a mainstay in the team.
Yeah.
How much depth and how much quality are in these squads. But I definitely think he's one that I think he could play for either of the two. I think his flexibility and being able to play in full-back areas, midfield areas, I think he would be a good utility type player to have within a squad because he can play in a variety of different positions. I think he's at his best when he's got space in front of him, a wee bit more off a side. I don't know how intricate it is to play like in a Callum McGregor type role, but I think he could play in front of him and have the energy to burst the box and get that competitive nature that he's got to obviously win loads of second balls and pick up scraps and drive the team forward. But I certainly think he's one that if he keeps on going the way he's going, he'll turn into a real good player.
I would put him right in for Engels.
Would you? Straight away?
Right in the team for Engels. If he'd signed for Celtic tomorrow, I'd put him right in there.
He's a better player than Engels?
I'm saying Engels is technically better, but I think his energy and he's the way he goes about his game, the way he drives forward, the way he can tackle, he can get up and down. I would put him in as a 6 beside Callum McGregor, who could jump up and he would be the one that would go and make the box and that. I'd put him in right away ahead of Engels. And then within a few weeks, you would then be able to work out who's the best three within that. So it could be McGregor, Mulligan, Hatate. You could get Nygren in there, but I would definitely put him in straight away.
Interesting.
Okay, cool. So here's the next question from Scott McFadden.
The viewers are loving your questions, Dave.
This is the second last question. So Scott McFadden, how quickly do you think Nonce lost the players? Was it as quick as the first training session, or does it happen over time?
My opinion on that is, I reckon the first meeting, after the first meeting, I reckon there was question marks.
Do you?
That's my opinion. I reckon that when a new manager comes in, I think the first meeting is important, and I think at that point the players would have maybe, especially after just having Martin O'Neill and the way he goes about his talks to people, and we've seen wee clips of him talking to players and putting his arm around players, and when he left he'd done a meeting talking about how well he'd done for him and stuff. I think after a meeting there would have been question marks, and then certainly after a training session there would have been more question marks, and then you go into a game and I think it would just have snowballed for there. The second game in against St Mirren in the cup final, what I saw standing behind the bench, I've said this already, I just looked at a group of people that were disillusioned already.
Interesting.
How quickly do you think?
I find that a real hard one to answer, in the respect to, like, he's been a manager at a good level. Like, he's a Celtic manager, so he has to be able to address the players, surely. He has to be able to put on a good training session, surely. And I'm like, does that then flip it and say that, like, the players just weren't having him at all, like, as a person?
But there's good and then there's really good. What the players been used to.
I totally get
Sean's a really good coach. Kendall's an unreal coach.
that. I know.
Brendan Rodgers is obviously a good.
Like, surely this guy, like, capable of putting on like a good session that, like, the Celtic players would have, like, walked off the pitch. Surely the session or the meetings weren't, like, that bad that the players are, like, walking back to the changing room to then get their boots on to then go out training thinking, oh, this guy's no.
I think there was.
Was it?
I think it was. I think there's good, and then there's good for MLS, and then there's good for what Celtic have been used to recently. Celtic standards. John Kennedy is like a real top organiser, coach. The amount of work he puts in. Sean Maloney and Mark Thorningham and stuff are good coaches, if you want to hear. Obviously Brendan Rodgers had his time there. Ange Postecoglou had Kendo there as well. There's been years of real top quality stuff for me, and I think it wasn't anywhere near that. So I think it was early doors. Early doors, I think, Dave. Next question.
Okay, so the final question, it's more of a statement from Adam Kearney, and I'd obviously like you guys to discuss it. So he says, I'd like you guys to talk about Yusuf Trimiti and the massive improvement in his overall game. Like, what's your guys' assessment of that?
I think he's...
Dave's made that up because Dave loves Trimiti.
Dave loves Trimiti.
Dave, who asked that?
Adam Kelly.
Adam Kelly?
No, hold on.
It's your next door neighbour's name.
Now listen, I've sat in the fence a wee bit with him because he's obviously I think he got off to a difficult start in the respect to goal return. I think he's definitely added parts to his game that have started to come more to the forefront, i.e. his link-up play. I'm not so sure his work ethic, because I think that would be harsh, because I think every player does work hard, you know what I mean, in their different ways. Some people see hard work as tearing around, other people see hard work as being cute and clever and being in the right position for your teammates. So there's different ways of working hard as an individual. It doesn't always need to just be like running about crashing into tackles, if you know what I mean. Well, that's how I feel anyway. That's how I see it. But he certainly grew into a Rangers jersey, isn't he? Which is probably the biggest bit of praise I could give him, because I remember being at Hampden for the semi-final with Boydie. We'd done the lounges for John McLeish, and we were sitting watching, and he has the chances, and you're like, and I think all the fans around us, the kind of narrative was like, he's not up to the standard that he should be. I don't think it's the lad's fault that the transfer fee was £8 million. He'll obviously be on a good contract. The Kevin Tillwell thing, I don't think helped him as an individual with the kind of narrative that was built up. But I certainly think he's winning over a lot of his critics, and me being one of them, really. I think we're all in a world where you spend that type of money, you expect some sort of superstar or some sort of player that's like, whoa, look at him, like, look how big and powerful and strong he is, look how many goals he's scoring. And I also think there was a wee bit of snobbery when it came to Dessers, because a lot of fans maybe weren't having Dessers, but to lose the quality that he had, the goal return that he had, the physicality they had, Sharmiti never really brought that to the forefront straight away. But I certainly think, and me included, he's winning over a lot of people.
My point on Sharmiti is, to sign for that amount of money, to sign for a club the size of Rangers, brings its own pressure. You can only comment on what you've seen. So when I've spoken about him before, couldn't see an outstanding attribute that he brings. Then he had a couple of chances, you're thinking, is he a goal scorer? Missed a sitter for 6 yards against Dundee United. But within all that, you understand that it's about confidence. So obviously he can score that header, of course, but it's the confidence of the guy, and does it take time? Never really let him do it, because I had a terrible start for 6 months at Celtic and ended up becoming player of the year like a year later and coming on to a game, but it's difficult to come back for that. So my point is, now he's starting to look a bit better. I'm not carried away. He scored a couple of goals. He looks a bit more confident. He looks like he's settled in a wee bit. So he's not completely went under. He's shown a bit of bravery to step up and be there. I've still got question marks over Sharmiti. Can he be Rangers? He's number 9 and go on and score and have the goal record that Dessers had, even though I know you spoke about him, people were critical of him. He wasn't amazing either, but he scored 60 goals and he showed right heart. I think the main thing for a Celtic player, or a Rangers player, no matter what position you play in, are you brave enough to step on the pitch week in, week out and take the criticism? And then can you go and then score the goals and be that player? I've got question marks over Sharmiti. He's got a long way to go. It's too early to sort of rule him out. But listen, if he can continue going like he's going to score the goals, ultimately he's going to be judged on that.
Must have one.
Did that answer the question, Dave?
Must have one more for us, Dave.
Well, there's a piece of breaking news, Kevin. I think you'd probably be interested in it, and just to see what your thoughts are. So Finlay Curtis is signed for Kilmarnock on loan, and how do you think he'll get on there? Do you think that'll be good for his career and development?
I think one that we'll obviously touch on is that I'm massively keen to do a youth development type podcast, so just touching on the Finlay Curtis one. This will be obviously later down the line, but brilliant lad. Neil McCann obviously knows him really well. I was intrigued to see if they would get over the line, because he needs to play, doesn't he? You've got a young lad, obviously Josh, Celtic, like, they eventually need to step out and play. Yeah. It's great being part of a squad, it's great building up your profile, but when you're earning 20 grand a week and you're sitting on the bench and you're 27, 28 year old or whatever, and you can't get in the team, I think it looks a bit different. When you're a young player trying to make his way in the game, I think you have to be playing games of football, because it's what opens the door, it's what catches other coaches' eyes, other managers, and it just shows you a wee bit of luck. And Neil McCann obviously getting the Kilmarnock job, seeing Finlay, seeing how he operates, seeing what type of kid he is, what personality he's got, to then take him. And listen, that'll be a test for Finlay, because if you go for one extreme at Rangers trying to win a title, you then go to Kilmarnock who are in a relegation battle. But I'm positive he'll do really well there. Listen, I'm his biggest fan. I hope he can score the goals and bring the threat in the front line for Kelly to make them survive. So
what I hear about him, having seen a few games, I think he technically he's got things to work on, but the main thing he's got is the right attitude, and he sticks to his game. doesn't get disheartened. I mean, the one game he played for Rangers, you're thinking early doors, and Russell Martin's here, you're thinking he needs to come off, and then he goes and scores a goal and goes in Europe. So he's obviously got a good attitude. You speak to MD, Neil McCann or Barry Ferguson, they speak highly of him. So not fair play, gets his chance to go and play games. A young player, you need to play games. It's like you need to go and feel what it is to play for people that and teams that are like
playing for 3 points, isn't it?
Real life, people playing for their mortgages, people playing to make a career in the game. You need to go and feel that. You need to go and take an elbow in the face. You need to go and have these hard moments in order to grow. And sitting in the bench constantly watching games, and doesn't matter what money you're getting, you then need to take care of yourself for what's coming later on, and your contract's down the line, and become a better player and always growing. And I think that'll be good for him.
Nah, I agree. Fingers crossed they can do well.
Thanks for joining us again on episode 8 of The Breakdown. Can't believe that's been 8 episodes. That's flew in. Thanks for all your comments, all your questions. Get your questions in for next week. We're going to be looking back at the Celtic Hearts game. Hearts-Celtic game, actually.
Massive.
Tynecastle. Massive game. Can Rangers take advantage of whatever happens at that game?